Hey guys, LootWizard here with another Soulforge video, and we got some new things going on. We have a new Glory troop, we have a new Legendary troop that's available in event keys this week called the Basilisk, and we're going to go try to get that after we go and look at the Soulforge. So let's get right into that. Soulforge, check out the weapons first. Now there are two weapons available here in the Soulforge that you can craft for this week. I believe they're both for this kingdom. The Mist of Scales is the kingdom for the event week. This one here, Medusa Tome, and you could craft this if you're trying to collect, but there's one that's better. Cobra's Curse, in my opinion, is one of the better weapons that are like this that generate mana for a particular type of ally. This one here has green and brown mana color, and it generates red and green. So it's generating one of the colors that it takes to fill up. Most all of these weapons like this do not generate a color that is the same as itself. So this is really, and I'll show you a team for this weapon that's really good here. So it works really good with the Guardians, the Treachery ones. They're considered Naga, and it will give 4 to all skills on all Naga allies on 4 or more gem matches. So what I do is I put 2 here, and then Cobra's Curse in the 3rd spot, and then Merilith, which is a Naga ally that is really good for mana generation. It'll destroy gems on the board. And then this here is generating red mana as well as the green, so Merilith takes red, so that's why I have that there. And this is going to generate a lot of 4 or 5 matches, and when it does that, it's going, all of the skills on all of these are going to increase by 8 every time there's a 4 match, because I have 2 of these in my team. So this is a pretty powerful team with this weapon. And the banner there is, I forget what it's called, I think it's Wild Court. Yeah, it's the Wild Court banner, Hunters. Double green, 1 red, because you're using mostly green for the weapon, but red for the Merilith. And the class is Assassin, because the Assassin class is a Naga. So that guarantees that when you're using this weapon, you have 4 Naga troops in your team. And that way you can generate the most mana possible with this weapon. So that's my recommended team for that weapon, and I do think that that weapon is a really good one to craft if you have those troops, and especially if you have Treachery fully traded. If you don't have Treachery fully traded, that team won't work as intended, because it's in the final trait where you get the 4 to all skills on the 4 match. So Cobra's Curse here is my recommended weapon to craft this week. Let's go take a look at the troops. Going through the summoning stones first, we have blue. Captain Skullbeard is kind of interesting, but I never really use him much. But I don't think he's worth the jewels. Nothing really I can recommend in green. Taking a look here at red. Deep Boar is good. Lamia is pretty good, but I don't think that they are worth using your summoning stones. And nothing really here either in yellow. Going to purple. Azirus here is a really good troop, and kind of hard to get because it's a higher rarity card. So I would say that this one is worth trying to get. This one is really good. It's an underrated troop in my opinion because of how cheap it is. It's only 6, and it has Magic Link, so you're going to get a bonus purple just for having this in your team. It does also give you 50% bonus souls, but you can use it in teams where you're not trying to get souls. It works really good with the main weapon because it will transform a selected gem into a skull. So there's a lot of times where you have 2 gems on the board and that are next to each other, or there's a space in between them, and you can use Azirus to make a 3 match of skulls out of that. And then if it has 13 or more purple gems on the board, gains 6 mana, which is basically what it takes to fill it up. So if there is 13 or more purple gems on the board when you cast it, it immediately you can cast it once again. So Azirus is worth trying to get if you don't have it, or if you want to get more copies to ascend it. Taking a look here at brown. Dragonian Monk is a pretty good troop, but I don't think it's worth spending your jewels for. But that's probably the best one I can see here out of this bunch. So that's it for summoning stones. I would say purple is the only one that I'm going to recommend here with Aziris. Moving on to legendary troops, we have Caberos, we have Divine Ishbala, we have Viper, and Krampus. Divine Ishbala is going to be my recommended legendary out of those four if you don't have it. However, I usually don't recommend crafting legendaries in the Forge here because they're easier to get in keys than mythics are. But if you really want to craft a legendary card this week, Divine Ishbala is a very, very good troop, especially, you know, if you have Keelan, which is another one of these transform gems to skulls type of troops. You see it a lot paired up with Divine Ishbala, and if maybe you have that troop, but you don't have Divine Ishbala yet, it's never dropped for you, now might be the time to go ahead and craft it. If you know, if you're one of those players, it's just the luck has not been on your side, and you're like level 1200, and you still don't have Divine Ishbala. It's the one legendary card that hasn't dropped for you. Then I would say, yeah, you know, you should probably go ahead and craft it. But otherwise, I wouldn't. Moving on to Mythic troops, we have Guard's Avatar, we have Stonehammer, we have Shade of Zorn, and Aquaticus. Now, immediately out of these four, I'm going to say that Aquaticus is the best Mythic troop out of these four. It's basically like Infernus, where it does splash damage, and then it also will explode some gems on the board. Now, it'll do light splash damage to 3 random enemies, which is pretty good, because that is, for me, my magic is 35 right now, so it's going to be close to like 100 damage. Well, with the splash damage in there, it probably will be over 100 damage that's going to be done to the enemy team just with one cast. Then it will explode half the blue gems on the board. So you can use this troop without an Ice Storm, but this troop does work really good with Ice Storms. Ice Storm is where you're going to have more blue gems falling down on the board. And why that's important is because it will explode half the blue gems on the board. So if there's only one blue gem on the board, it won't explode anything because there's nothing to really explode. But, you know, if you have like 2 blue gems on the board, it'll explode one of them. You know, that's not much. But if you have 10 gems on the board, it'll explode 5 of those. And so that's why I said an Ice Storm. So you have a couple of options for Ice Storms. You have Skady, which is another Mythic troop, which fully traded generates an Ice Storm every single turn. You also have the weapon called Jar of Eyes, which can generate a Ice Storm every time you cast it. And then there is an Underworld troop called La Raza, which generates a Madness Storm every single turn, which is a combination of purple and blue gems falling out on the board. So those are some options there for getting your Ice Storm going in combination with this troop. One of the other nice things about this troop is that on a 4 gem match or more, it will submerge all allies. Submerge allows you to avoid damage that's targeting all of your troops. So that's pretty good there. Best Mythic to craft this week, and the worst one, which is right next to it, is Shade of Zorn. Shade of Zorn is just way down in like F tier for me as a Mythic troop. It deals damage to an enemy boosted by red allies and skulls. If the enemy dies, it'll summon 2 Fists of Zorn, and those are troops that convert a certain color of gem to skulls. But, you know, the damage just is not great on this troop. It does have Stealthy. It will gain 4 mana when it takes damage, but there's just really nothing amazing or special about this troop. And if you did craft it, you made a mistake, because it's just, it might be okay at lower levels, but it's definitely not something you should craft. So then moving on here to Stonehammer. Stonehammer is actually pretty good, as it's one of the best defense troops in the game. But when you're ranking it against all mythics in the game, it's somewhere around average, because it doesn't do really any damage by itself, except for like skull damage. But that's for every troop. Every troop can do skull damage. So but it will stun and burn all enemies, which is a really good thing. So if you do have like a class that has the Fireblade talent, which is at level 100 on classes like the Hierophant or the Diabolist, I think has it. Dragon Guard class definitely has it. Warlord has it. So there's a few classes that once you get them to level 100, you can have Fireblade talent, and that will do triple skull damage to an enemy that's burning. Stone Hammer can burn all enemies, so that's good. Stun is great. It's also a mana generator, and then it will gain life. It does reduce damage from skulls by 80%, and it's immune to Death Mark and Devour and Stun. So having this troop in the front spot is pretty nice. Now, it is considered a Divine and a Dwarf troop, so it does have the potential to start with half mana if you include Divine Ishbala in there, or the legendary card for the Dwarves will also make Dwarf troops start with 50% mana. So it's all around, it's a decent troop. I would say actually that it probably would be my second to Aquaticus this week, because even though Guard's Avatar has its place, its power is primarily based on its armor. So what Guard's Avatar does, it'll deal damage to all enemies, and then it's boosted by armor. So you can see here, even though my magic is pretty high on this account, it's only going to deal 12 damage to all enemies as the base damage. So where the boost is coming from is it does half of the armor as damage to all enemies. And so this mythic troop is going to be almost useless to you if you're a low-level player and you don't have your armor boosted, because it's only going to do a significant amount of damage to the enemy if you have a lot of armor. And then when you compare this troop, for example, to Rowan is a troop that only has like a 12 mana cost. You get it in the quest line, so it's really easy to get, and that troop does twice as much damage as Guard's Avatar as far as armor boosting goes. So Guard's Avatar, when all those things are considered, is not the greatest mythic troop. And yeah, so I've covered all four of those. I would say Aquaticus is my first pick for a Mythic of Crafting this week. Stonehammer second, Guard's Avatar third, and Shade of Zorn never crafted. So yeah, that's my thoughts on that. Alright, so that's the Soulforge this week, and let's go to the Glory Shop here. Well, I guess it's not called the Glory Shop anymore because they changed it. They separated the Spoils of War here from the Glory Troop. So this here is the new Glory Troop, and we have the Swamp Rat. This thing will deal true damage to the last enemy with a 50% chance to deal true damage to the second last enemy. Then it will submerge itself. It does start with 75% mana if you do fully trade it, which is really the only significant trait about it. It's kind of an interesting troop, but I don't know if I'll use it a lot because there's other troops that do true damage that are way more useful. But I'm going to go ahead and buy this here. And also, if you are considering trading troops that need this Arcane Tradestone, the Arcane Skull Tradestone is this purple-brown color. And we could go take a look at what troops maybe are good for that. But if you need these Arcane Skull Tradestones, now is the time to buy them with your Glory. That's one of the reasons why you should save up Glory and don't use it all the time. Even if you're a lower level player, my strategy is, because I'm going through, a new playthrough this game, and my strategy is basically I used Glory keys to get my first 4 or 5 legendaries till I got at least 1 or 2 good ones, and then after that, I'm not spending Glory on keys anymore. I'm just saving it for buying the Arcane Tradestones that I need, because that saves you a lot of time. Those Arcane Tradestones take you a while, especially as a low-level player, because you don't have all the troops and stuff to do fast or high-level explore battles is where you're going to get most of your Arcane Tradestones. So you don't really have the power as a low-level player to do that, so I would say save a lot of your Glory, use it to buy the Arcane Tradestones in that shop when you need them. So, for example, if there's a class that you want to level up, let's say, or to unlock its traits. Let's say you want to unlock, and I do recommend doing this for some of these, like the Stormcaller here. conjure a Lightstorm when your turn begins, every turn. And that's really great. So I don't remember what the Arcane Tradestone is for this, but if you don't have it unlocked, you'll be able to see it here. And then you just wait every week until that Arcane Tradestone shows up in that shop, and then spend your glory to get enough of them to unlock this trait. So that's a good tip there for doing unlocking your class traits and troop traits. Yeah, so that's basically it for that. Now, we do have Guild Wars as the event this week, but, you know, there's not much I can really show you with that. It's basically just as a reminder, you're going to get a lot of extra points for setting up your defense teams. And these are all like random defense teams that I've thrown in here over the previous month, and I've changed, you know, because I don't really set up. What I'll do is I'll set up the defense teams and call them like this one's defense 4. But since we only do Guild Wars like once a month, you know, I'll end up changing those teams in my team slots, and then this is what happens is that I get a mess that now I have to sort out whenever Guild Wars comes around again. So the point of Guild Wars defense here is to maximize your points. As far as I know, you just need unique troops and weapons in each day slot. So as you can see down here, it's telling me my potential bonus points for the week from the current teams using 21 different troops is 10,500. Now it says current bonus points earned from using 4 different troops is 2,000. So I do have a couple of duplicates in here somewhere. And that is what's making my points lower. So I would have to go through here and look at these teams and say, okay, you know, what do I have a duplicate? Leprechaun here, Leprechaun here. That's those are duplicates. Is that the only duplicate? I feel like there should be one more because my bonus points should be the maximum bonus points for your defense is like 12,000. So let me go in here and just change this Leprechaun really quickly to something different. Anything. We'll put that in there. Not that it's any good, but we'll just put that in there and see here at the bottom what it says if I've maximized my my points. So it's at 1,100, 22 different troops. It seems like I have, okay, so Gorgotha is an extra one as well. Let's just throw, well, it's like I'm doing this for demonstration purposes, not that this is going to be a good team. So now we have 23 unique troops. We can have 24 maximum unique troops. So I have one more troop in here somewhere. Leprechaun over here, right? Yeah, because I have Leprechaun up here. So that's where it is. I have Leprechaun. So let's just throw that in there, because I don't think I've used that. Now let's look at the bottom and see here. There it is, 12,000, 24 different troops. So that's what you need to do. They don't need to be the colors of the defense days. You can strategize a little bit if you want. Like whoever is trying to maximize their points on purple day will probably be trying to use purple gems. So you might want to have converters or something in there that converts purple to a different color so they can't get powered up. You know, there's some different strategies like that, but generally I don't pay too much attention to that. I just try to maximize my points here for using unique troops in every day for Guild Wars defense. Now, once you set up your teams like this is why up here you'll see this is defense 4. I usually will put a title on there, defense 1, 2, 3, 4, and all that, because during the week, if you change any of these teams, it will mess up your defense score. So you want to leave these teams alone in your team slots once you set them up. And the other thing is Sentinels. So you can upgrade these Sentinels for a little bit of resources. You can go crazy with it if you want, if you do have the resources for it, but I generally go 2 or 3, something like that, just because, you know, you can get a lot of, you can boost your attack and life and all that with certain troops in your team, and you should be making teams that do have, like, good support. But I will go ahead and upgrade these a little bit just because a little bit of extra boost to magic and armor and life and attack is all. That's good, you know. You never know. You might have like 2 life left on one of your troops, and that gives you the victory. So that's pretty much it for Sentinels there, defense on Guild Wars. And let's see, is there anything else I need to go over? I think I already went over the all the Soulforge. One thing here too, I guess I can mention is these shards. I mean, most of you probably already know this, but there might be a few that don't yet. These shards that you get can be converted into diamonds. Now, they can be converted into jewels too, but I usually save them for my diamonds. So if you go to jewels and you scroll down and here's your diamonds, it shows you that 1,000 shards will equal 10 diamonds. So I have enough to craft 630 diamonds right now, just because I don't go in here and check how many how many of these shards I actually have on a weekly basis. But so that can add up too. So sometimes, like if you're a little bit short, let's say you wanted to craft Aquaticus down here, and it's 4,000 diamonds, and you're just like maybe 100 short, you can come in here and see if you have enough shards to craft some of those diamonds that you need. So yeah, that's pretty much it for this Soulforge video for this week. So well, actually, there's one last thing that I could mention. I was trying to think, what else? Because the Event Kingdom, if we go in here to the chest, the Event Kingdom is Mist of Scales. So if you're opening the event keys, and there is that new legendary, and so that's the thing that I almost forgot in this video. Jeez. Okay, so that legendary troop that's new, we're going to go ahead and try to get it. So it's only going to be in the event keys this week. I don't even know what it does. I didn't look up on the spoiler site. We're going to open 50 event keys at a time and see how long it takes to grab this thing. Oh, we got that. I'm pretty sure it's in here. There it is. It took us 150 event keys, but we got the new legendary troop here. It's called the Basilisk, and it costs 17 mana. It's considered a monster and a beast. It deals 21 true damage to an enemy. If the enemy is poisoned, deal double damage. Then deal 21 true damage again. If they are stunned, deal double damage. So there's potential for some double damage there, but nothing. Since it's based on poison and stun, so the only way to maximize the damage on this troop would be is if you can poison and stun an enemy at the same time. So I don't have anything really in mind right now, but it does have stun a random enemy when matching brown gems. So that's actually pretty good, because that at least gives you the potential in the card itself. Now it would be even better if they would have had like the okay, so it does poison enemies when doing skull damage, but that doesn't really that suggests that you want to keep this troop at the top of your team. I was gonna say it would be nice if they would have poison in like some kind of spell damage form, but I guess it looks like they want you to put it at the top of the spot, so they'll poison an enemy. And then it has the stun there matching brown gems. So probably work pretty good with Mountain Crusher, because a lot of brown gems going on. And you'll ensure that a lot of enemies are stunned. But yeah, I'll have to try it out and see what I think about it. But there it is. That's the new legendary card that you can get in event keys this week. And the Event Kingdom is Mist of Scales. So the other thing that you can get, I believe, is the Mythic troop Euryali. So if we go here, we go base rarity, and we need to go kingdoms, Mist of Scales, all the way down to the M. And yep, so Euryali is in here. I opened 150 and I didn't get it, but it's all luck based, so you could potentially get this in your first batch of 50. But this is one troop that you probably should try to get, because this troop combined with Scorpius is right now really great for doing level 12 explore battles, mainly because Euryali poisons all enemies on 4 or 5 gem matches, which is really the only thing you're going to use it for. It's passive use here of this troop for poisoning enemies so that Scorpius can do that lethal damage. And I believe I have a team here. Yeah, I already set up a team like this. So I have Mountain Crusher, Apothecary, Scorpius, and Euryali. And that really is that's my main level 12 Explorer team. Apothecary is great for getting you these 4 or 5 matches that Scorpius needs. Or rather, Euryali needs in order to poison all the enemies. And then when Scorpius is powered up, it will do lethal damage to poisoned enemies. So that's my team there. Now, Leprechaun, you can use Leprechaun instead of Apothecary. A lot of people do use that as well. But I kind of like Apothecary because you can almost guarantee that you can get those 4 matches with it. And it's converting to brown, so the brown is going to fill up your Mountain Crusher and Scorpius at the same time there. So, but yeah, that's the team right here, Scorpius, Euryali, great for level 12 Explorer battles, and you can get this Mythic now in event keys for this whole week. So, all right, I think that's it for this week, and I will see you guys in the next video. Later.